Back on a conversation. We've got a great guest for you guys now. She was former national co-chair for Bernie Sanders, former president of Our Revolution, former state senator in Ohio, current host of Drop the Mic and the podcast Hello Somebody, and also current queen, Nina Turk.
Just to get all those titles out the way.
That's right. It's a fun beginning, and the things that you're doing now are so important. Drop the Mic talks about the military budget, and Hello Somebody's got great guests on your podcast that are having important conversations. But obviously, the huge conversation happening nationally, thank God, right now is about police reform. So let me get your thoughts on things one by one, the Biden proposal, Democratic proposals, etc. But let's start with defund the police. So what's your take on what defund the police means, and what's your idea of what solid reforms we should do right now?
I mean, defund the police sounds very provocative, and for some people it means just that. They want to see policing reimagined. We certainly know that we have a certain criminal element in this country because it's called being human. So we have to question, is the type of policing that police in the United States of America have been trained to do, is that the way to go? Obviously, resoundingly no. People need to understand the history of policing in the United States of America, especially when it comes to the African American community, never meant to protect and serve, always meant to occupy. And some of the earliest policing of the Black community came in terms of slave catchers. That is a story for another time. And so the relationship or lack thereof between the African American community and the police or law enforcement has always been one that was troubled, because we are not seen, we being Black people, are not seen as worthy of being respected and loved as much as we are seen as a threat, and especially if you are an African American man. So I do understand the whole notion of defund the police, and we have to balance that notion with dealing with very real human tragedies, whether it's murder or rape, even though the stats show that most of the time that the police are called, it is not for those kind of heinous things. And so we got to deal with this. So defund. A lot of people have been saying that the Republicans have defunded a whole bunch of stuff that we've needed, housing, education, healthcare, you name it. They have been defunding for a long time. So people shouldn't get their dandruff up too high about the term defund the police. But we got to come to an understanding about policing in America, what is expected, what is accepted, and what is not acceptable. And being the judge, jury, and executioner in the streets is unacceptable in the United States of America, or should be, because it's not, Cenk. Let me just say that it should be.
Yeah. So, look, I talked on the show that I'm not sure I love the framing of defund the police. And you've got police, people who are police officers in your family, etc. Sometimes people take it the wrong way. But it does mean restructuring the police. That is absolutely essential. It's way past time for that. And so now when we turn to the Democratic reaction, look, the Republican reaction is obvious. They hate it. They don't want any part of it. We don't need to bother spending a lot of time talking about that. So Joe Biden said he's against defund the police. That's kind of a layup because of the framing. But when you read his statement, that had his so-called proposals in it. Let me get your take on it.
Tone deaf. To say that you want to put $300 million into community policing and you want to make sure the departments are diverse. We're way past diversity. We tried to have that conversation with America decades ago about the need to diversify police forces across the United States of America. There are other stats that show that the more diverse the police force is, the better it is. The more Black officers that are there, the more women that are there, things start to change. But for him, even in the midst of all of the ceremonies that were happening on behalf of Mr. George Floyd, to just throw that out there and think that it was okay, there is something wrong with that, especially since he wants to be the next president of the United States of America and claims to really understand. He's a friend of the Black community. Have him tell the story. So it doesn't make sense to me that he would just throw that out there like that without taking in what people are saying, even if you believe that they're using the wrong, that they're not naming it properly, or you don't agree with the term, I should say, not whether or not somebody's naming it properly, but still, let's have a conversation. But he just threw it out there and said, oh, by the way, we don't really care what some of you have to say about the police force in the United States of America. I'm going to give them $300 million.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, increasing the funding is insane. Second of all, every proposed, so-called proposal in there was retreads, not one substantive proposal. I mean, he got away with it because of the title, in my opinion, just my political analysis of it. Sure. But really, it was an abhorrent proposal. It's left over from the 1990s, which is Joe Biden in a nutshell. His best friend is Donald Trump because he just makes it so easy to win. Like a leather shoe could beat Donald Trump. And so anyway,
he's doing the bare minimum, Cenk, and people should be insulted by that, especially the African American community. It's the same thing with the Lift Every Voice. Same thing. You take the Black Anthem and you just take the title of it and you just plop it on a plan where you piecemealed proposals from other presidential candidates' agendas. No creativity whatsoever. So that's what we're getting right now.
Yeah, but let's go to the Democratic proposal. So that was a little bit more comprehensive. What's your point of view on that?
I mean, I especially for me, the Peace Act with Congressman Ro Khanna is vitally important. I think the Democrats certainly understand. Well, let me not even say that, Cenk. I want to hope that the Democrats understand. I'm not so sure, but we will see. I'll give them some points for effort. Let's see if they truly understand, because what my biggest concern is not what is happening in the moment, but what is going to be happening a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. It's very easy for the Democrats to latch on to this moment and wear kente cloth, God forbid. Can I just say, don't wear kente cloth. Okay, please just stop it. I had to get that in there. I'm boiling over about this kente cloth thing. I'm sorry, I got all off topic. That's not what you asked me.
No, Nina. You know, it's funny. It's how similar we think, because I saw it and I was like, God, that is so patronizing.
Yes.
Like Pelosi and Schumer, like, you're walking around with that stuff, and I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Don't patronize.
And you kneeling? I mean, what happened when Colin Kaepernick started this thing? You couldn't find, as my grandmother would say, ne'er Democrat hardly to stand by his side and stand with him. They were criticizing him. It was the same thing about the Black Lives Matter movement when it first came out. Democrats were against it. They wouldn't stand with the Black Lives Matter. Now all of a sudden, because Mr. George Floyd was murdered, now they got religion. What happened when Tamir Rice was shot on the playground? What happened when John Crawford was killed in a Walmart in the Dayton area in my home state? Cenk, he was shopping, had a weapon in his hand that was sold at that Walmart, and a white person called the police on him. And they came in there and they shot and killed this man. Tamir Rice shot and killed. Sandra Bland, so on and so forth. So where was the kente cloth and the outrage then? So what is your point, S&T? My point is this. It's easy to have religion when you got people in the streets forcing you to have some. I want to see if they're going to wear some kente cloth and pass universal health care. I want some kente cloth wearing, making sure we have college for all. Hello, somebody. I want kente cloth wearing when it comes to making sure that people have a universal basic income. That's what I want to see. And when they start doing that, then they can wear some kente cloth. But until then, please, white people, don't wear kente cloth.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Okay, what you got to say about the Democrats' plan? I'm sorry.
No. I love it. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, on that plan though, we'll go back to it. So Ro Khanna's plan is better, of course, and Ilhan Omar and others have made important and serious proposals. And the overall Democratic plan that Pelosi and Schumer back does have at least independent review of police shootings, which is desperately needed and long overdue. And finally, they got there. So I'm happy that they got there. They got to try to somehow pass it through the Senate. But what it does not address is police training or culture and a reimagining of policing in this country. It's still a bridge too far for the Democratic Party, let alone the Republican Party. So let me ask it this way, Nina. If you were going to propose something to rethink the culture of policing in this country, what would you have them do?
I mean, certainly to ensure diversity, or not necessarily diversity in terms of Black, white, Hispanic, but ensuring that police officers receive psychological testing. A lot of police departments do that up front, but they need to do that throughout a police officer's term in office, so to speak, to have diversity training, even though that is not necessarily the panacea to this, but we all need to use the same baseline and understanding implicit and explicit biases in the United States of America, having police review boards, having task force both on the local and state levels of government to ensure that the very communities that are being policed should be able to have a say and weigh in, and no more allowing the police to police themselves, if you will. The community and independent folks should be in there making sure that these police departments are doing exactly what they should do. And lastly, police chiefs should make it very clear to their officers that no more of this. It will not be tolerated. You will be fired. Period. Can't be tolerated.
That's exactly right. That's what's going to get their attention. And look, the retraining that Senator Turner is talking about is so important. That's why when you see John Crawford in a Walmart and he picked up a BB gun sold at that Walmart to buy it, you don't come in and assume he's armed. They started shooting at him in 2 seconds, and they killed him in 6 seconds. They didn't ask, "Are you shopping?" and "Put your hands up," etc. We need a whole retraining of wholesale for the whole police force in this country. Every city, every state, every municipality.
And demilitarized too, Cenk. I mean, we know the 1994 crime bill, allowed these police departments to get that kind of equipment that was no longer being used actively within the Pentagon. We definitely got to demilitarize. And then it's the whole concept of what policing is. Do you treat people with respect and dignity, or do you automatically, especially if they're Black, treat them like crap? The technical term. I hope that term is allowed, editors. To treat them like crap. That is what happens in America, and it has been accepted. And so the conundrum of policing, Cenk, is the conundrum of America. That's it. So when we look at the police force and how they deal with Black bodies, we're also looking at the United States of America as a whole and how we deal with Black bodies. No love, no respect. And that has permeated the police department and all other industries, or not industries, but all other facets of American life: political, economic, environmental. We can go on and on with this, Cenk. So it's easy. I want this moment, Cenk, to be not just about reforming the police or law enforcement, but this got to be about reforming America, period.
Exactly. All right. Everybody check out Drop the Mic and Hello Somebody podcast. You're going to love it. Senator Nina Turner, thank you for joining us on the Young Turks.
Thanks for having me.
On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.